Good morning. So, day 8. Yesterday I said day 6 in my video, and I probably explain it. I haven't put it up, but I'll probably explain my misspeak. But I said that it was day 6, and that tomorrow or today was going to be day 7, but that wasn't true. Yesterday was day 7, which is crazy. I can't believe this is the 8th day that I've been doing this. It's pretty cool. But, yeah, so 8 days of routine. My body thanks me for sure. I've been, feeling, my back has been feeling better since I've been stretching every day, and, I feel more awake, and I actually kind of look forward to getting up and reading and doing stuff that I usually forget, and by the end of the night I'm like, oh, I wish I had done that today. So it feels kind of good to like get up and know it's done, and to start my day with that, and to start my day with the success of that, I guess. So today was a new meditation in the Teachings on Love book. And I discovered some stuff today, a couple of things that I think are probably important. One, I've only been reading a little bit every day, and at first I felt kind of like bad about this. Because I'll read a couple of pages and be like, is this like just a cop out? But the truth is that that I read until my brain stops retaining, and then I stop, which is actually kind of a discipline in itself, because I think that when we are ingesting things that are deep, sometimes we want to run through the concept, just like run through it, get it, take it in, say, yep, I read that and I'm good, and and we might catch a couple things, but if we don't stop and like actually think about it, we might miss a bunch of stuff too, which I didn't want to do. And not to say that some people don't think and internalize and process this stuff way faster than me. I'm sure that people do. But for me, like, it was a discipline to stop myself and not like get caught up in that feeling like, oh, I got to get to the end of the chapter, or, I have to finish this book by the last day of my fast or something. And what's been amazing is that, when I stop, it feels like, it's almost like a Holy Spirit feeling, like, yes, this is it. This is the moment that you stop. And I've really trusted that, in the last week, 8 days that I've been reading. And what I realized today was that that I take this stuff in, and then I meditate on it, and then I talk about it. And this talking is interesting. I'll talk more about that, but it's another discovery that I had. But it helps me to process it, and then I kind of think about it and chew on it all day. And by the end of the day, I can honestly say that by the end of each day, there's something that I think, man, I would love to understand that more. Like yesterday, for instance, the teachings were on the meditation and on these seeds of anger and stuff, and I thought I'd like to know more about those roots in myself. But also, by the end of the day, there were just moments where I definitely still saw those seeds of anger or anxiety or whatever in me, and I thought, like, how is this gonna help me actually to get rid of these things? How, what's the the purpose of knowing this stuff if you can't practice it, because you can't like grasp it all the way. And of course, that's what today's teachings were about. And I'm realizing that by the end of the day, I have these questions and I have these concerns, and then the next day, the reading addresses it, almost as if it's a conversation that I'm having with Thich Nhat Hanh, which is insane, I know, but it's true, and it's really, I don't know, it's been really awesome that way. So the structure of this and the places that I stop and the questions that come up, I'm just realizing like how much it seems like I guess, in faith terms, just like meant to be. So yeah, so that's cool. That was a discovery that I made, or just a thought that I had today. Another discovery that I'm realizing is that right now in this journey into love, I'm realizing that this is really greatly, mostly about self-love, and that even just looking back on the couple of videos ago, like flippantly like tossing off the idea of self-love and like, yeah, we gotta grasp that and remember it. I'm realizing that I've never really fully grasped the concept of self-love, and I'm realizing that is, for me, probably one of the biggest obstacles in loving other people, is that I haven't gotten fully to that place where I love myself. So this has been a journey into like realizing that and doing something about it, which feels empowering, and also terrifying, to be perfectly honest. So yeah. So another discovery that I had today while reading. So the meditation today is about kind of just a furthering into the idea of love, and the meditation is, may I learn to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love, and then may I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. And then it finishes with, may I learn to identify and see the sources of anger, craving, and delusion in myself. To be perfectly honest, in my meditation today, I didn't even get to the last one. I focused mostly on, may I learn to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. And that alone, I realize I don't do that. I don't understand myself very well, and I definitely, when I think that I do, I don't necessarily cast this like loving feeling over myself. It's more like critical, and so like, but I do look, I'm critical with other people as well, I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely am more understanding and loving with other people than I am with myself. And I'm just starting to realize like how destructive that might be, especially because if you're not very understanding with yourself, and then you try to be understanding with someone else who knows that you're not very understanding with yourself, there's kind of this mistrust. I feel like it's like, do you really think that, or are you just like trying to wash over this, or are you just trying to make me feel better? So yeah, I think that that's something that I definitely need to work on. And then Thich Nhat Hanh goes on to talk about which seeds you water. That when a situation happens, there are two responses. That there's a good response that allows for understanding and love, and that when you respond that way, the people around you are also lifted by that. And then there's an inappropriate, and that's the word he uses, an inappropriate way to respond. And that can not only harm you because it pulls you into these, negative feelings, but it can also harm the people around you because it pulls them into that as well. And it might, that response in some ways might, affect them, or maybe be about them, or trigger them or whatever. It could do a lot of things. And just being mindful of that, and being mindful is, I think, the biggest part of all of this. Like, think about your responses and think about how you react to things and to people around you, and actually think further than the moment, and how that is a chain reaction to other things. Like, what is the effect? Not just what are you doing and how does it look in that moment, but what's the next thing? Like, what's the next domino it knocks over, and the next one? Like, what's the overall effect of that, and how far does that reach? And being mindful of that can help you to make the right decision. And being mindful of that also, for me, what I realize is it distracts you. If you stop and you think, if you're thinking about how your response can be helpful or harmful, and which way should you go, and that you don't have as many knee-jerk responses, and those are the ones that that for me come from the hardest and, I guess, the most jaded parts of who I am. Like, when I don't think at all and I just react, it's almost always when I stop and really think about that, it's almost always like a trigger. It really has nothing to do with the moment. It has actually more to do with something, that someone else did to me, or some insecurity in myself. And yeah, I don't know. So thinking about those things today, I think it's just a really good practice for me to meditate more on, what are the things that are causing the seeds that that I water. Like, what are the things that really I need to really focus on and figure out so that I can water the right seeds. And then the other thing, that the next, besides just how you think about a moment, what do you say in that moment? And words are for me, the most difficult thing to get control over. Because for me, it's so hard for me to think about what I'm saying before I say it. And even when I'm talking, you see me pausing. That's because that's how long it takes me to gather thoughts and words. And so, because most moments in my life don't allow for that kind of stopping and thinking, I can do it here because there's nothing to distract me or nothing to to interrupt that. But in most situations, I don't have that freedom necessarily. And so, really figuring out how to use my words to be uplifting and to water the right seeds and to act or to help people around me with them and not, to hold people back or to hurt people around me, has been difficult, And so I think that what I'm gathering from this and what I think is probably really true and probably really good is that the more that we focus on our quiet times, our meditations, our moments where we can actually like figure out what's going on with us, the more it'll seep into other parts of our life, including the words that we use in our speech. Because I don't really, like, even now, like, if you asked me to tell you what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, I couldn't do it. And, part of that is because when I talk, I get really anxious. Talking for me is, like, anxiety inducing because I feel like I've said the wrong thing enough times, and had the complete opposite reaction of what I thought I was going to get from what I said, that it makes me nervous to speak. So I think that it was really good that I did this because even if no one else watches these, I've been watching them and I've been looking back, at what I say and realizing like for one, I speak better than I thought. I mean, if that makes any sense. I don't say totally erroneous, crazy things like I feel like I'm saying. But also like I realize like when I'm watching it, I understand it better listening than I do talking, and I think that's been a really good lesson too. Like even from my own voice, my own self, like hearing myself talk, I'm learning more about myself than talking. So that's interesting and weird and kind of crazy sounding, but I'll leave you with that thought. So this is day 8, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Oops.